So, what if I told you that everything you've ever learned, everything you've ever done to become free, is actually the very thing holding you captive? Today, we're diving into the Sarvasar Upanishad. It's this ancient text with a really radical, kind of mind bending idea. Freedom isn't something you gain, it's something you uncover. It's way more about unlearning than it is about learning.
And that brings us to the big question for this whole explainer right out of the gate. Can your knowledge actually be your cage? I mean, think about that. It's a pretty jarring thought, isn't it? We're always taught that knowledge is power, that it's the key that unlocks all the doors. But the Upanishads, well, they suggest something completely different.
And here's how they break it down. You've got these two paths. On one side, there's knowledge. Think of it like adding books to a library. You can learn calculus, history, a new language, you're accumulating facts. But the you who knows all that stuff, it pretty much stays the same. But then there's being, and this is a total transformation. It's not about adding something new. It's about your core self being completely reborn. The Upanishads even have this stark warning. This quote really says it all, doesn't it? It highlights the danger of trying to think your way to enlightenment. The intellect, it says, can be this massive trap. It gives you this illusion that you understand, that you've got it all figured out, but it actually stops you from having the real experience. It's a boat that's just bound to sink. Okay, so if thinking isn't the way, how does this transformation actually happen? Now, you gotta be warned, this is not some comfortable armchair philosophy. The ancient texts are super clear about this. This path is like playing with fire. It's a rebirth, and you know what? Rebirth is painful. Let's be really clear here. This is not self-help. It's more like self-destruction. The kind of truth we're talking about doesn't just improve you. It completely dismantles the you that you think you are, just to make way for something entirely new. It is a total overhaul. And this brings us to this really fundamental human problem. We all want bliss, right? We all want that deep sense of peace and joy. It's what we're all chasing. But it stays just out of reach for most of us because, well, very few are actually willing to pay the price. So that's the big question then, isn't it? What is this price? What does this path of total transformation actually cost you? The price is pain. It's the deep, unavoidable suffering that comes from letting go of who you think you are. The Upanishads have a name for it, the birth pain. And just like childbirth, this spiritual rebirth means you have to pass through this intense crucible of suffering. There's no way around it.
Here's a great way to think about it. We all start out as a seed, right? Just this little closed-off potential. But for that seed to truly live, its hard outer shell has to crack. It has to be shattered, and that's a violent, painful process. But it's only through that struggle that we can finally grow into a tree, totally alive and open to everything. The sun, the rain, the storms.
All right, so how do we actually begin this process of breaking the shell? Well, the Upanishads actually give us a kind of roadmap. The very first step is to identify the walls of our own inner prison, all the layers that are hiding our true self. And this brings us to a key concept, the koshas. It's a Sanskrit word that literally means sheaths. The texts describe 5 of them, and the best way to picture them is as 5 concentric walls, each one a layer of the prison that we call ourself. So these are the 5 walls, going from the outside in. First up is the food sheath. That's our physical body. It's the most obvious thing we identify with. Underneath that, you have the energy sheath, our vital life force, the prana that animates us. Go deeper, and you find the mind sheath. That's the chaotic world of our thoughts and emotions. Beyond that is the intellect sheath, our capacity for wisdom and higher consciousness. And then finally, right at the very core is the bliss sheath, the body of pure, uncaused joy that is, believe it or not, our true nature. But here's the crucial twist. The goal isn't to take a sledgehammer and destroy these walls. The goal is to make them transparent. Imagine turning a thick stone wall into crystal clear glass. You don't get rid of the walls, you just learn to see through them, to the truth at the very center of your being. So after you've gone through this painful journey of rebirth, and after you've made these 5 walls transparent, you finally arrive at the end. And what you find there is this final, absolutely astonishing revelation. It's an answer that turns everything on its head. Now, remember, this whole quest started with one fundamental question: what is bondage? The whole reason for the journey is to figure out why we feel imprisoned so we can finally find a way to be free. So, after all that suffering, after seeing through all 5 layers of your identity, you are finally ready. You're ready to hear the great secret of liberation. But trust me, the answer is absolutely not what you are expecting. This is it, the ultimate realization. The answer to the question, how can I be free, is actually another question: who is it that's bound? If you realize that you are not the doer of your actions, then the whole idea of being trapped or even being liberated just completely dissolves. The journey reveals this incredible truth. The you that you thought was in prison, your ego, your identity, that voice in your head, it was never real in the first place. The freedom you were searching for, well, it was yours all along. Why? Because you were never actually bound. And when you truly get that, when it clicks deep down, it triggers this fundamental shift in how you live your life. You move from a life of constant doing to a life of simply being.
And this really highlights the two different I's. You've got the doing I, that's the ego. It's your resume, right? It's your job, your name, all your actions, all your knowledge. It's something that is built piece by piece. But then there's the being I. That's your true self. It's just pure existence. It's the silent witness that's watching the whole show. It doesn't do anything, it simply is.
So here it is, the ultimate takeaway. This whole spiritual path isn't about piling up more knowledge about yourself. It's about letting go. It's about shedding every single layer that is not you. It's a journey of subtraction, not addition. And all of this leaves us with one final, profound question, a question that only you can answer. If you are not your body, not your mind, not your feelings or your actions, then who really are you?